there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I'll be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link, or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 142. As I started to write this content, 2 thoughts were in my head this morning in the shower. Well, maybe 3. The first was, I need to grab a new shampoo bar from my inventory downstairs, and I did. The other 2 are the 2 I want to talk about. The other 2 are more important for all of us and for today. So my first thought was, I haven't done a back to school or a back to college post yet, and it's August. And the second thought was, I need to double up on my podcast content stat, because there are 3 Mondays in a row. Monday is my usual recording day that I won't be able to record. I'm teaching all day on one Monday. I'm on the East Coast the next Monday, and then it's Labor Day. So these are things I'm thinking about. And relatedly, what also occurred to me in the shower is that I want my content these days to be evergreen. And I also want them to be for everybody, not just parents of school age or college age students or teachers or professors or, people on academic calendars, but for all of us. And so for back to school, what I really want to talk about is a conversation about morning routines that work for all of us. My college student, this college senior, went back to school in July for work. So perhaps I wasn't necessarily thinking back to school thoughts, even though it's August, since we did the whole apartment shopping and packing and moving a few weeks ago. But then he came home again the other day for a week between jobs and going back to school for the semester. And so we'll be doing it again this week. And son number 2 comes home from Alaska very soon, and 5 days later moves to Wisconsin for grad school. So our back to school time is not typical this year compared to others, and even compared to our own typical. So when I decided to share a back to school article this week, I traveled back in time. I was looking through my blog archives for a back to school article that addressed just morning routines. And I found one from 2015. And wow, were things different then for us. 10 years ago, my sons were 10 and 15 and 17. And now the youngest turns 21 this week. But as I read the article from yesteryear, I was gratified to know that the content still resonates. So let's learn again how to craft a morning routine that works and works for us by sticking with the KISS rule, keeping it simple, sweetie. Here's how. First things first, right? Focus on survival. I talk about this a lot. I know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all that, but food, clothing, shelter, safety, right? Make sure that all of these are taken care of first thing in the morning before moving on to anything else. Feed yourself and your people and your pets. Get clean, get clothed, and get ready for school or for work, or to leave the house at least. Regardless of when you start your day or where it takes you, focusing on survival is essential to knock off right away. For the first hour or so, give or take, depending on our schedule and goals, focus just on survival before anyone logs into emails or looks at a screen or anything else. And once those essentials are accomplished, we can move on. So number 2, to help with number 1 is to try this. Tip number 2 is to limit our options because decision making slows us down. When I read this, wow, right? This one has become even more true for me and my family in the 10 years since I first wrote this. Did you know that your decision-making capacity each day is finite? We start out with a bucket full to use all day, and every decision we make uses up what's in the bucket. It's feasible that when we spend our decision-making capacity on non-important decisions like what to have for breakfast or what socks to wear today, we don't have as much left for important stuff later in the day. So let's make decisions about breakfast and lunch first, as an example. In the article from 10 years ago, I mentioned a conversation with my teenagers that went something like this. Me, you have to eat breakfast before school this year. I know you don't always manage a healthy lunch, so you've got to ace breakfast. What will you eat every day? Them, to paraphrase, toaster waffles. We like toaster waffles and Costco pre-cooked bacon. We like that too. All right. Me. So if I keep toaster waffles and bacon on hand, you will eat breakfast in the morning? And they said, yes. Cool. We had a deal. I know that by then I had tried before to imagine every possibility. 5 kinds of cereal in the cabinet, a couple of flavors of granola bars, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes they still wouldn't eat. So that year I must have gotten smart and we stuck with waffles and bacon. Done. Let's fast forward to today. My now college senior was home when I started writing this, and I told him I should subtitle it, "My Family Eats a Lot of Eggs," and he agreed. Now that everyone is older and cooks their own food, the college student makes himself omelets or eggs for breakfast when he's home. And the days that my husband works from home, yep, eggs too. And every Sunday or Monday, I hard boil a half dozen eggs or more, peel them, and then leave them in the fridge to take for lunch on work days when I'm teaching or working with clients. So to expand a little bit on that, my Sunday or, I don't know, sometimes Monday, weekly meal prep for breakfast and lunch includes those hard-boiled eggs I mentioned. I also brew coffee and then refrigerate it to add to a protein shake before I leave the house on client and class days. Hey, 30 grams of protein and caffeine? Yep, sign me up. I make a couple jars of overnight oats and I clean and prep veggies and fruits. I do not get creative at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday because why on earth would I want to spend time or decision-making capacity on that? And these are just some ideas that work for me. Maybe they work for you. And the real question then is, if you wanted to make it simple, what would that look like for you? Another thing that we can consider is limiting clothing options to make decision-making easier. If you happen to be a parent and have indecisive or spontaneous little people, together or not, choose, 7 outfits at the beginning of the week. We used to do this when the kids were littler. Put the whole ensemble on a hanger or rolled up on the dresser and pull from just those options for school days, because too many options kill decision-making. For example, a loved one mentioned how their 2.5-year-old likes to pick out her own clothes these days. And I remember that when my kids were young. But I would clear the drawers of everything I didn't want them to wear, leaving them fewer but higher quality choices. And again, how does that translate to us as adults? If you are one of my in-person clients, you likely believe that I wear the same pair of shorts and t-shirt every day. And well, I kind of do. But here's the real story. I have 3 pairs of the same work shorts and 10 of the same Land's End V-neck t-shirts in a variety of colors on regular rotation. I have more clothes, of course. And if you see me teaching or presenting or singing, you'll know I can get more professional and more creative. But again, why do I need to be creative on a weekday morning? I don't. I will save the decision-making capacity for other decisions later in the day. So does this idea appeal to you? Great. And I understand if it doesn't. It doesn't have to work for everyone, but it can be a time saver if you are looking to simplify your morning. So 10 years ago, I asked the question for number 3 was, what does your face look like? And here's what that means. So 10 years ago, I wrote, there was a moment a few weeks ago, mid-tirade, when my brain stopped and I said, I wonder what my face looks like right now. Since I was raving at my kids, I was sure that I was red and scowling, maybe petulant, and I certainly was not the person that I want to be, or who I want my kids to see when they look at me. So the question is, right, when you're running around in the morning, what does your face look like? Take time for hugs. Take time for positivity, a few deep breaths, maybe some great music, and some kitchen dancing, you name it. Happy is contagious, and it will last you through the day. Today, I would likely write the same. Keeping your morning simple helps the whole day go better. And being positive and intentional with how you want your day to go, right? Deciding who you want to be today and making sure that that person is positive and joyful can be so important to your daily success. And the final tip is to leave early. Early is on time and on time is late. Have you heard that? We really just never know what will happen on the way to our destination, even if it's just a few blocks away. So it's always best to leave a little extra time. Parents, consider that when you drop off your child at school, they still have 5 to 10 minutes of getting into school, hanging up coats and bags, unloading backpacks, etc. to contend with before they're ready to learn. Your child and their teachers want you to err on the early side of on time, so everyone feels more in charge and less frazzled. And I wish that someone had told me this when my first son went to preschool, but they didn't, and I didn't know to ask. So let me share with you the wisdom hard won over years. Leave early. And again, how does this translate to us as adults? Because leave early applies to us, of course, too. My husband and I were discussing his drive to the train station and how at one intersection, the same person cuts him off at the same time every day by riding the turn lane and then hopping back over, running late for their next destination. And I got to ask the question, and if I ever had the chance, I would do it kindly and gently. But if you have to break the law and endanger others every morning to get somewhere and on time, perhaps it's time to consider an earlier leave time. I'm just saying. So if leave early is something that would benefit you, adjusting everything just 5 minutes earlier on the clock to allow some breathing room can make all the difference for your morning and the rest of your day. Trust me when I say, keep it simple, sweetie. Support around getting things done calmly and competently is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platform like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.